Alright, today we're taking a look at another tribal deck. This is one that no one really expected to see up until the Lord of the Rings set came out. This is Wraith quote unquote tribal. And the reason that it is quote unquote tribal is because the only true Wraith that we're playing is our 9 copies of Nazgul. This is a deck that basically plays a bunch of shapeshifters with Changeling for the most part. And basically how this thing works, how this keyword works rather, is that changeling creatures are every creature type. And actually, yeah, it even just says it right here in the little tooltip. So basically all of our Realm Walkers, Masked Vandals, Glade Walker, Automaton, Changeling Outcasts, well, these all happen to be Wraiths as well. Changeling was basically a little mechanic that they added to the game in order to support some of these lesser supported tribal creatures. So now we can do things like play Wraith Tribal here. So basically what we're doing is we are running a pretty low to the ground creature deck consisting of Realm Walker, which allows us to look at the top of our library and get some card advantage. We have Nazgul that grows our board. We have and also interacts with the ring mechanic. We have Metallic Mimic that makes our creatures bigger with 1/1 counters. Masked Vandal is a removal spell, but also a changeling, so it's also a Wraith. Guardian Glade Walker puts a counter on something. Changeling Outcast can't be blocked, so it's evasive, and Automaton is just another Changeling body. So we've got all that going for us. We're also able to be a collected company deck pretty easily because everything is 3 CMC or less. And we also are running the Hardened Scales angle, where this 1 mana green enchantment says that if you would put a 1/1 counter onto a creature, you'd put that many +1 instead. So our Guardian Glade Walker 1/1 counter becomes 2 1/1 counters, which for a ability on a 2 mana 1/1 is a pretty decent effect. And then also because we are running some counters, and yeah, so because we're running counters, we're also going to run the Ozolith as well. So that's more or less the deck. Ultimately, this is not, your tier 1 competitive deck. So we'll be playing this one in the play queue today to see what it can do. And I hope you guys enjoy the video. A reminder that if you're enjoying things here, you can support the channel by dropping a like on the video or subscribing to the channel if you're new. We put videos out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so stay tuned if you'd like to see some more of those. For now, let's hop into some games and see what we can do with Wraith Tribal. Alright, here we go. We got round 1. This hand does have the Nazgul, which is good. We also do get a Hardened Scales into Glade Walker potentially, so that can enter as a 3/3, which feels pretty good. I think I'll keep that. Drop a Hardened Scales out first. And then, with any luck and us drawing a land, we do have either Nazgul or Realm Walker. We also now have Universal Automaton if that doesn't happen. Alright. We got a 3/3 on turn 2. That's above rate. See what our opponent's on. Looks like life gain. So, our other green creature will be pretty nice to have eventually. Let's play this on black. And I'm thinking that we go ahead and Nazgul or Realm Walker. Maybe we do this now. Choose Wraith. And this way we can get a Metallic Mimic in. Or we can get potentially a Nazgul off the top of our library more aptly. Mimic will be pretty good as well. Looks like a Banishing Light on my Realm Walker. We'll take away that card advantage. Ultimately, Voice of the Blessed is not that big of an issue for us right now. And here, I think what I'll do is I'll get my creatures out first. Metallic Mimic is a good one to get out because we can choose Wraith here. And now this Universal Automaton comes in with an extra counter that becomes 2 through Hardened Scales. And so now with a collected company, we could conceivably hit double Nazgul, which would be pretty sweet. Okay, so we don't get that, but what we can do is get our Nazgul out. That makes a lot of our creatures able to trade with Adeline. Ring is tempting me, rather. And I suppose I'll put it on Metallic Mimic. And no matter how this goes, I am just happy to crash in. This is a pretty good trade for them on Metallic Mimic. if they do want to put 2 of their creatures up. Instead, they just decide to block, and they're looking at lethal damage next turn. Reverent Hoplite. Now that's pretty interesting. They just went very wide. That's kind of cool. No matter, we'll go ahead and get our Metallic Mimic out and a Universal Automaton, and we will just go ahead and crash in. No need to block. And it looks like they are going to need to chump block and then do their best to kill what they can. Looks like they'll choose to just completely chump block. Maybe they have another Reverent Hoplite in hand. We'll see. God Eternal Ketra. Okay. Very cool little mono white brew here. Oh, and we didn't quite get to do our Collected Company. We could have definitely found another Nazgul there and just gone even wider. With that being said, that was a pretty good round 1. Let's hop into round 2. Alright, we got a round 2 now. We get to play with Changeling Outcast here. I think that's pretty good. We also can do a thing where we go Hardened Scales, Metallic Mimic into Changeling Outcast if we don't draw our 3rd land for a Nazgul. I think I'll play the Pathway on green here. Seeing a bunch of goblins is definitely a bit scary. It's actually not the land that I meant to play, but okay. So we'll get a 3/2 Metallic Mimic out next turn and then Changeling Outcast following up. We pretty much can't block effectively until Nazgul comes down, so hopefully we're going to find a land here. Let's put this on green. Metallic Mimic. I'm going to attempt to not have to block with this thing. And then just get a Gladewalker down next turn. Now, something that I've seen people do is for their Metallic Mimics and things like that, that are not Nazguls, what they'll do is they will name a creature type that is basically not Wraith to kind of throw you off the fact that they're playing Nazguls. And the reason that you can do that is because basically Nazgul is the only Wraith in our deck. So we'll be giving up potential... Alright, so I gotta figure out what to do here. I think I don't block. We will be giving up potential +1/1 counters on our Nazgul, but what we do get out of that is the ability to just essentially get more value, is what I'm saying, out of our opponent not knowing what's coming down. Okay, so we got our things coming in here. I can Guardian Gladewalker and then put some counters on the Metallic Mimic, which I think is pretty solid. If I were to play this one in, it wouldn't be as good. So we'll do it like this. Comes in as a 3/3, makes us a 4/3. And now we got blockers. I'm happy to trade my Gladewalker for their Steamkin. Maybe less so to trade Metallic Mimic for a 4/4 Runaway Steamkin, but I'll do it, I guess. We need to stop this damage somehow. Alright, sure. That is a thing that I don't want to have double strike. As long as they don't have their, the ping enchantment, whatever it is. Alright, so we will be taking some damage here, and let's see what happens. They do exactly have the Raid Bombardment, which means that this thing gets just double strike. Okay. So it looks like I'll be making a chump block, and yeah, that's going to be tough. Okay, so it is basically forced blocking. I can keep one of these creatures, so I'll go like this. And unfortunately, we don't have a way to gain any life, so we are probably going to be dead on the following turn here. We find what we essentially needed here. We'll get to have the Nazgul, except for the fact that we will take a damage and be dead. Okay, so just an equally quick game 2, where we succumb to an aggro deck, and that's it. So let's hop into round 3. Here we go. Alright, we went out on our own terms in round 2. Let's see if we can decide our own terms a bit more in game 3. So this one has Metallic Mimic into Changeling Outcast again. Unfortunately, we don't have our Hardened Scales. This is a pretty solid hand to hope for a Nazgul. So as long as we find that third land on curve, I'm going to be happy. Authority of the Consuls. Wasn't really expecting to see that, but okay. We still play into this. Wraith. It's interesting that that shows up in their MTGA like replacement effect menu. It's a funny way to show how both of these will apply. Ooh, Giver of Runes. Okay, so this is going to be one of the anthology cards. So this might actually... So this has like feelings of Death and Taxes, but to see a non-creature in Authority of the Consuls is a little weird. So I think what we do is we just pay some life here and start going ham with the Nazguls. Alright, so we'll get to go ahead and do everything here. Let's have this Changeling Outcast be our Ring Bearer, and we will go in. We're about to demonstrate the power of multiple Nazguls here. It's going to be great. Opponent takes some damage. As long as it's not a board wipe, we'll get to show what we can do. And of course, Nazguls having Death Touch is a good thing. Destroy Evil, okay. Definitely a less competitive card than some of the things that you'll see in Ranked, but, you know, definitely par for the course right here. So we get to put another Nazgul in, essentially doing the same thing that we did before, and we will attack in. We draw into our 4th Nazgul. I am all for that. I suppose I will get rid of the second Metallic Mimic because, you know, we might end up needing this Masked Vandal if they put something down that's very scary. But mostly I'm just here to see what multiple Nazguls is going to do to our opponent. I got a double striker in, okay. Fortunately, won't be enough even with Giver of Runes. Here's another Nazgul. They gain life with Authority of the Consuls, which kind of keeps them insulated here. And we're just going to continue going in. Slam in face. Continue to have Changing Outcast to be it. And yeah, so with 2 Nazguls, we get double triggers, and oh man, our things get big. So they do need to basically chump block twice here, or they're dead. And then next turn, we get the ultimate nasty triple trigger Nazgul. So they unfortunately did this in the wrong order. You're supposed to chump with Giver of Runes first. They are actually going to go to 1, so they're fine. Alright, and then we'll just play this on green. Doesn't matter too much. And darn, our opponent's not going to sit here and see a 3rd Nazgul come down. So that's definitely what happens with the Nazgul card. You know, definitely not the most powerful thing out there, but when you can play it and get multiple of them onto the battlefield, it's pretty nasty, as you just saw. So that was our round 3. Let's hop into round 4 and continue the fun. Here we go. Alright, we got round 4 coming up. So we do have a Collected Company here that, if we can cast, will be pretty solid. I think I'm actually kind of down to do this. We get Hardened Scales here for the price of a life, but we do get Metallic Mimic to start things going. And what I'll do here is I will try to throw my opponent off by selecting something that is not Wraith with Metallic Mimic. Let's go ahead and choose Angel. If I can spell it right. That might just kind of get them thinking on the wrong axis here. Need to kill things with flying, but we were going to play nothing that flies in the sky. And now we're kind of having a problem here. We do not, unfortunately, have enough... we don't have enough to really get in there. Enough mana, that is, and cast a Nazgul. So now we got to hope for land draws. Reckless Impulse with Kessig Flame Breather. Kind of a cool deck here. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, so it looks like they're just going off of this Kessig Flame Breather kind of style. There's another red card. When you cast a non-creature spell, deals damage to each opponent. It is, I think, a 2/1? I'm forgetting the creature type. I've played it in a recent deck. But regardless, I think it's functionally the same thing. So anyway, we will just get in here. And I say, let's just make a big Guardian Gladewalker and go in. This is 9 damage at my opponent. We'll see if they decide to take it. And they now have a turn to kill me, otherwise they're dead. Oh, Firebrand Archer. That's the card I was thinking of. Alright, so they're going in. They go to 9. And they will need to block here, especially if I draw land. We don't. We will get this in. And let's go ahead and just make them start to trade. They have to block at least one creature here. So we'll take 7. They can gain life here, and they could very conceivably put me to 0. So it's going to come down to whatever's in their hand. They got 5 cards, and they have, unfortunately, a spell they can't cast in the graveyard. There's also the Alms of the Vein, a similar Drain 3 that I assume they're playing if they're in black-red. Looks like this is more or less a Madness deck. Deadly Dispute exiled as well. That's Static Discharge. Puts me to 3, and one more will do it. We'll need exactly a shock, actually. Alright, and we get our Nazgul out, and looks like they did not have shock because we won the game. Alright, well, that was kind of an interesting style of deck. It was essentially burn, but like almost Madness style plus this whole idea of running Flamebrand Archer. I kind of vibe with it. I think that was kind of cool. Anyway, that was our round 4. We have one more game to go. Let's hop in and see what we can do with our Wraith Tribal. Here we go. Alright, and we are starting round 5. Because we've done so well, I've decided to take this deck into 91% Mythic and see what happens with it. We will not keep a 1-lander, and seeing these Land War Wastes is pretty disconcerting. I'll keep 6 and bottom a Realm Walker here. We have 2 plays before we're going to be hurting for lands. So let's just quickly get bowled over by Elf Tribal and be on our way. Alright, we got our Outcast. Gladewalker comes in next turn, buffing our Outcast. Nazgul comes in being both a blocker and buffing the Outcast. And I think we'll have something to do here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. While I would like to have Hardened Scales out, I think I'll wait. We do need to get some damage in early. Alright, swinging with Changing Outcast, and this is a 10-turn clock. That will soon be getting a little bigger. So I'm thinking that I probably just want to Realm Walker out more than anything else. I need to be able to see the top of my library, and I think this is a good time to say Angel and make our opponent wonder what the heck we're going to be doing here. That will hopefully surprise them when Nazgul inevitably comes down. And next turn we do actually have Collected Company to hold up, which is great. As my opponent clearly gets ready for something huge. They have access to, I think, 7 mana now. Oh, okay, 6 because of the way they chose Regala Greeters. I'll swing all in here. We'll wait till blockers and then Collected Company. Make them make this hard decision. Alright, and so we get to Collected Company. Hitting double Nazgul would be huge here. We hit Nazgul and Guardian Gladewalker. Both are fine. Alright, so we'll put a counter onto Realm Walker to make sure that if they want to kill it, they gotta spend a lot. And we will get tempted. I want to make Changeling Outcast my Ring Bearer. And we get to go in. So opponent's down to 7. And now we get to see probably what their deck is trying to do. They got 6 mana. I imagine they can cast whatever they want to here. Let's see if it's enough to win the game. They're thinking about it. If I think about my next turn, it's pretty easy. We have Hardened Scales and then Nazgul. Alright, so Imperious Perfect. So this is Old Elves. This is definitely not up to date. There are better things to be doing with your elf tribal deck. We're going to take some damage here, and then we're just going to get in another Nazgul here, start going off. We are going to force our opponent to have to make some chump blocks here, as our creatures are absolutely huge. They need to block everything. And yeah, looks like we did enough to make them concede. Alright, so our Mythic game was not a complete dumpster fire. That surprised me at the very least. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck. It's a fun little put together pile. I think that it's definitely not ready for a Mythic ladder climb or anything, but you know, it's a pretty fun deck. If you've got the cards from the Lord of the Rings set, I mean, Nazguls just take uncommon wild cards. I would definitely recommend crafting something like this. It's a pretty fun deck. If you've ran any of my other 1/1 counter tribal decks in the past, you may or may not have some hardened scales around. Just toss them in. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Definitely a lot of cool things out of this deck. Ultimately very cheap. You have good removal. You have ways to make some decently large creatures, and if we were to be paired up against a single target removal deck, those decks don't particularly have very good targets to remove in our deck, because everything is just kind of decent and gets built up. So anyway, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to support the channel, you can do so by dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you are new. We post videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.